she's just a fabulous human being that I've come to know, like a lot of the people who are here. All right, so let's talk about that video. Somebody, I think it was Tencho, asked in the comment section below the fire ceremony video, can you explain this? And I realized, oh yeah, I should explain that. So, an amazing human being came here for a private journey, private healing session. Arrived here, I think, on the 9th. So here was the setup. I've done a couple of readings for that person, and I don't have permission to say the name. So I'm just going to sort of talk around that, okay? So this person came. We've had a couple of readings. Has been like everybody going through a lot of transformation, and what's happening is that there is this person, I believe, having had my energetic interactions, that person is a very powerful shamanistic type of energy that reincarnated here in order to be present for the moments of 2018 and going forward, and actually literally was experiencing their karmic return. And so has a stellium. This person has a stellium, a lot of planets in Scorpio. So let's see, born a natal Scorpio, has Venus and Jupiter and I think Mars, and I can't even remember, like this huge list of a stellium in Scorpio. So when it came time for the retrograde, the Scorpio new moon was on the 7th, the day before this person's birthday. If you can imagine the intensity of that energy. So we did another session online using Skype or FaceTime or something, and sort of came to the awareness that it was time to release the wounding that this person came in to have in order to go through life with, in order to learn what was meant to be learned, to come to the moment of releasing. And the moment was during the energy of the new moon in Scorpio and coming through 11-11-11, which we just had. So on sort of a very short time frame, we both decided, okay, let's do it. And it was an amazing experience. And what I'm learning is, it just is. There is something that happens when people come here and step into the portal. And actually, I'm going to transition back. So that picture is a picture from the top of what's literally known as Putney Mountain. It is the Hawk Watch Summit. And so in the spring and fall, the raptors that travel back and forth from north to south for winter and spring groundings travel through the ridgelines in Vermont. And there's a place where you can hike up to the top, and you're kind of able to see the place where the ridgelines roll together. And there are days when you can sit up there and hundreds of eagles and all different kinds of hawks and raptors fly through, and you can just literally watch the migration. It's an amazing place. So, so this person came, lives in New York City, just so you all know, Spirit saying, just so everybody knows, if you're in the New York City area, you can take a train almost all the way here, and it's cheap and it's pretty fast. So I think this person got on a train in Penn Station, and 4 hours later was in Brattleboro, which is the next town over. So I just went and did a pickup at the train station. So what happened was, the person came in the house. I helped them settle in. I'm trying not to identify gender, just for privacy reasons. I helped them settle in and said, why don't you go on up to your bedroom and just have some quiet time, and when you're ready, come on down. And I was cooking dinner. And I don't know, maybe half an hour later, this person came down and looked at me and said, I can already feel that something momentous is happening. And I feel as though the energy here is literally reordering the energy inside of me, and was sort of expressing that it felt like a tuning fork and could feel the energy, etc. So well, let's see. Spirit says we did what we did, meaning that anyone who comes here, when you come into this portal, it will attune itself with your energy, and your personal journey will unfold in the way that it's right for you. So let me transition back. So I don't do a cookie cutter thing. First we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and we're going to do something else. And I was talking with somebody else about this the other day who had gone to a shamanic retreat and just came away feeling like it was not exactly what they needed. And I understand if you're trying to offer something to the public at large, you have to have a little bit of a pathway. So Spirit's telling me my pathway is chaos. meaning chaos theory, right? So people are meant to come here to be reordered energetically for a particular type of healing that has to do with the energy that radiates through me, that I have the ability to provide people with. It is a very, Spirit saying the word radiant again. So it's a type of radiant energy that has a lot to do with Uranus type of energy, and literally uranium type of energy, the energy of the sun, etc. So I personally have learned over many years that I am a catalyst, and that the energy that streams through me is utilized for balancing. So over many, many years, I've been learning how to utilize that, how to wield it. Spirit says that a lot. You sort of have to learn what your my spirit guides call it what your superpower is, sort of just kind of making it a little bit fun. If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be? And my daughter and I laugh about this all the time. And I swear it's true. This is a little bit of an aside. When she comes here, and it's been true since she was a little girl, when she's around and she leaves, I will look around and then I look down like at the counter or on I use my grandmother's table to do all the readings and the live streams. And there's a pencil sitting here. I don't have pencils. I don't use them. And every time she's here, a pencil appears. We haven't figured out exactly what that's about yet. I tend to think that maybe she's meant to do some channeled writing. I haven't said it yet because I don't want to scare her. But she manifests pencils. So it's something to do with communication, right? So anyway, this person comes in the house in this incredible energetic moment, and so that energetic being, who is, I know with sort of clarity, reincarnated, a very powerful shaman, a very powerful healer, here to release the karmic, Spirit's calling the karmic injury that this person came in to walk with and to experience and to utilize until the moment came when they were ready to cast it off. So we had an amazing energetic experience that was able to form itself, Spirit saying, form itself around this person's energy in order to capture it and help it begin to vibrate in a different way. And so when the person went upstairs and got settled and came down in about a half an hour, said, looked at me and said, I can feel something happening inside of me. It's like there's a tuning fork inside of me, and I can feel my energy literally realigning, and the healing has already started. So we just follow that. And when you come to Moonrise Cottage for that kind of a journey, that's what you will experience in part. So I utilize my shamanic healing tools on an individual basis based on what you actually need. And there are some things that I try to have everyone to be available for each person that comes, and to make their experience as deep as possible and gentle, and Spirit saying, and pervasive all at the same time. I'm not here to shock you into something, right? So little by little, the wound, the internal healing began, and the wound began to coalesce and coalesce and coalesce and coalesce. And the last night before this person had to go back to New York, I had some dreams, which often happens at night, especially when somebody's here with me. Had some dreams about what needed to happen going forward. And I got up early and I brought my Agnihotra setup, which is just a little urn used for fire ceremonies. It's a very sacred, very ancient fire ceremony. And I just brought it down and I set it down on the lower shelf of one of the tables downstairs. And we had made this mask, and the intention was to capture, my intention was to capture the shamanic energy that this person was carrying, and that fact that it was buried under the karmic wound. And so I thought, well, we'll make a mask so that you can see yourself. And in fact, actually, you know what? Let me toggle back to that picture for a second. I want to show you. I'm going to go and grab the mask, so you're going to hear my voice walk away for a second. Because I want to show you some of my masks, just so you know. Because over the years of my shamanic training and my self-development, all the adventures that I've had that have brought me forward to this place in my life, and I hope this doesn't scare you. I'm going to show you some of this stuff. Mask making has been central to me being able to understand myself, the things that I carry inside of me that none of us show to the outside world, right? And my feeling was always like this, it's a secret, okay? So here's one of my masks. This is literally just a mask of my face, okay? See that? That's, there it says, that's me, that's the place from which I travel out into the universe, right? And I've always, some part of me wants to decorate this mask. And my spirits, the guides always say, no, don't do that. You need to see yourself this way. So, it's just, Spirit says, it's just blank face. It's just me without the human overlay. So we made this mask. And what happened actually was the mask ended up being a photograph of the psychic wounding, the emotional wounding, the karmic wound that this person utilized to develop their very intense shamanic abilities, properties, internal knowing, I think. So one of the conversations we had was, when it became clear to me what was happening, I said, so, there's the story of Harry Potter. And he was in danger in the storyline, and he had to be hidden and he had to be protected until it was time for him to come out. And so he spent his life, the first, half of his young life, I think until he was 12 in the story, living with people who hated him, literally locked in a closet. And all the things that you take on and that you think about yourself, and that the type of emotional wound that many of us develop when we go through those types of experiences. And as you know, if you know anything about psychology, often we just turn it inward, don't we? And we think there's something wrong with us. And we don't understand what is wrong with the people around us. And all those that's what went through my mind as I was a kid growing up with the things that I was dealing with. And then that's our set point. And then you go through the rest of your life, most of us, making unconscious decisions about other people, about our interactions, about life in general, about who we are, and interacting with ourselves through that prism of erroneous understanding. So the mask came out, and it was literally the picture of the moment when the wound happened. And it was terrifying to look at. And it looked kind of skull-like. It looked like someone who was, Spirit's talking about, it was a blast wound. It was a picture of the moment of impact when this blast that wounded this person's heart, mind, psyche, chakras, etc. And we both looked at it and thought, ooh, and it was very fragile. As it turns out, it wasn't able to be handled very well. So it took a day and a half for it to actually dry so that we could even touch it. And then I had brought my fire ceremony. I had a dream about a fire ceremony, so I thought I'll bring my fire ceremony accoutrement, Spirit says, downstairs, and I'll just put it there. And the person who was here got up the next morning. We were getting ready to head for the train station, and I said, "Well, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to put it? I'll try to find a way to put it in a box so you can carry it home. It's really fragile. You want to decorate it? What do you want to do?" And the response, "I want to burn it. It's time for this to be done." See how I'm getting choked up again? God, it was so beautiful and so intense. So we put the mask in my Agnihotra vessel and burned it. And it's just a little bit of paper mache and gauze. And it did flame right up. And then it actually burned, half of the face burned away and then broke. And then the other half was lying flat in the bowl. And as you saw, if you saw that video, it just slowly, things got really intense. It was an intense flame for a few minutes. So much smoke that I had to open all the doors and windows. It filled up the house, the smoke. And there's no way that smoke came just from that little tiny piece of paper mache, because it was very thin. So that was the first indication to me that, oh, something's really happening here. So I thought, well, let's let it out. So I opened up the doors, I opened up the windows, we let the smoke out, and then when the intense part of the smoke, the release finished, we closed everything up because it's cold out, and then things got really quiet, and we started to talk to each other in whispers, and we were just chatting a little bit. It took a long time. And then, as you saw, finally, the energy of that wound began to become visible. And the spot, on this side of the face near the ear, which is where the burning was, the last embers of the wound were being released, was really significant based on some things that, again, I'm not at liberty to share with you about this part of the physical being. So the way that happened and the types of conversations that came out and the retuning that happened for this person while they were here, and again, the energy gets very intense. When people come in the house for a healing, it's as if this place knows that somebody's here, and right away it begins to entwine itself, I think, internally with people, and then I get drawn very deeply into my own shamanic healing abilities that come to me through my set point as a human being. So I have several different identities that I've become aware of over the time that I've been sitting here in this house, kind of like that. I just separated myself from society. So I think I mentioned this in the first try today. I'm going to do another live stream about the notion of coming into yourself and preparing to go forward in that journey as we prepare to go forward in 2019 and understand the new way in which we stand, because we are going to move into what people call the 4D. My spirit guides have been talking about the use of the tapestry and the activation, so we're going to go there. Definitely, okay? So this notion of crow shamanism, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but that mask that you saw in the background, that's one of my shamanistic identities, and it's really intense, and I know it can look really scary, and depending on your belief system, it can really scare the crap out of you. But it's basically about the ability to transition back and forth to the mystical realm, and to have a certain particular kind of vision that comes from that place, and vision that comes from this place, and how I've been taught and learned to utilize the crow energy, and that's why I put the picture of the Morrigan here. So I believe it's, for me, sort of a blending of my male and female and my Aries and Virgo blended together. And it's part of the reason that I've been sequestered this long, because it took me a long time to grow into it. I've had it for many years, and I've been doing ceremonies here for many years, and people have been coming here and having journeys with me for over a long period of time. But I was still needing to be cloaked and needing to be in hiding. And I think that if I understand it correctly, hang on one second. If I understand what's happening correctly, it's time for all of us to begin to come out of the closet. And so there are a lot of people who are beginning to reveal themselves out of the tapestry, Spirit says. They are becoming revealed to themselves, and they are feeling the emergence of this energy. And many of us need some healing in order to emerge fully into ourselves, so that we can take our place in the tapestry and continue the unfolding of the energy that's coming through, that's meant to move us into what we've been calling, or people call, especially on the internet, 4D and 5D and all that. So Spirit wants me to talk about that. So I have been just looking at my software because I'm feeling paranoid. I'm going to switch back over to YouTube so I can see the chat. So hi, Rosa. All right, let's see. I'm just going to look at the chat, see what you folks have been talking about. Okay, Marie Antoinette, you're talking about, you notice that healing is with fire and air, and the raven black feather, which symbolizes the alchemical artwork. Yes, doesn't it? So with, for me as a person, when I began to understand that what part of my pathway was to walk with other people, and literally, because of the way the energy flows through me, my job in this lifetime is to be that type of a shamanistic guide to accompany people back and forth from the mystical realm, because I have the ability to do it. And that's why I was given this place. It's why I needed to isolate myself for so long and not speak. So to me, these things were very secret and very sacred, and I haven't spoken about them. I haven't declared myself. And I feel as though there's a particular, we all have our gifts, don't we? In terms of what is available through us to ourselves, to the people around us, and to the collective, which my spirit guides call the tapestry. So I had a ceremony many years back, and the mask was reflective of the artwork. If you guys have seen the pictures of the outside of my house, there are some shamanic symbols there. They come from the runes and some other places, sacred symbols about male power and female power. And I was well aware that, in my opinion, the way into wholeness was to walk between those two things and understand the fullness of each of them. And that's how I do my life. As a Virgo, the feminine side, the soft, quiet, feminine side of myself. And then there's the Aries, right? The Ram, the fire bearer. And I just want to push forward all the time and don't even think about getting in my way, because I will have none of that. So that's how I experience myself. And if you look at my house, it took me a long time to realize, the outside of the house looks like a fortress. In a sense, it's just standing there really strong. Almost like, hand to the world, like, don't mess with me. But when you open the door and you come inside, there's something else that's happening. And I believe that my understanding of the Morrigan, the Shamaness, the Queen of Battle, is that she was there to protect me, because I needed protection, because there was so much going on the inside, and it was a place that I was vulnerable to injury. So I've had 20 years to develop myself, and then I had to be coaxed out, and that's what spirit guides are saying. That's what people are experiencing now. We come to a moment where, especially in 2018, we've been coaxed out of hiding, and we begin to feel ourselves, and we begin to understand that it's time for those parts of our nature, the deep spiritual part of our nature, to be on the surface and to be perhaps quietly, but declared, so that we're available to each other. So I've had an intense rebalancing and a healing of one of my wounds that have been going on for a long, long time. And I'll tell you about it a little bit if you want to hear it. I don't want to just blah, blah, blah. So let me just look at the chat for a moment. Let's see. Darlene, you're releasing. Yeah, oh my gosh, so much going on. India, I'm reading your message. Jupiter in its own sign in the ninth house. That's the other thing that I've been saying. Okay, so this retrograde, what a gift. How beautiful to be pulled that deep. In order to be reordered, like Spirit's talking about, to come back to the surface for balancing and then hand the energy to Sag. So, if you've been following along and you look at my readings, they got really long because Spirit told me to put the cohorts together so that people could see how the energy moves through the cohort so that we could understand how that then we hand it off depending on the season, depending on what month it is. So there's a lot going on with that. Spirit wants us to understand, and I think because we're in retrograde, when I do the December readings, I've been waiting. I'm going to start, I think, tomorrow. I'm going to go back to how I used to do it. I've been missing my camera. So I'm going to do a little retrograde thing just to break it down for people so the readings aren't so long. And then we're going to go forward, I think, like that into 2019 with some more discussion about the energy and the movement. So let's see. Summer solstice time. Oh, okay. Ingrid, are you talking about coming here perhaps in the next summer? Hi, Rosa. All right, let me scroll down. So, I think that Spirit has been preparing us. Definitely my spirit guides have been preparing me to come out of the closet. It's one of the reasons I got pushed into YouTube, is that I was not meant to be hidden anymore, and I really enjoyed my cloak. I enjoyed being invisible. I always wondered, like, what do you want me to do with this stuff? I'm so clairvoyant that it's, the thing that I experience when I travel with people, it just happens automatically. I don't ask for it. Spirit brings people. That's the way it used to work. Spirit would just have people show up. And so there's another person who just kind of showed up at my door the other day. It's one of the things that's been happening over the years that I've been here. So the energy is attractive in terms of people feel it, and whoever's meant to have a healing, they come. So now I'm on YouTube, and it's time for me to step out. And so I'm doing that bravely as I can, and making this place available and wanting to share with you the purpose for making this place available. And I think we're meant to co-create together what's going to happen going forward. Certainly, I'm going to continue to be doing what I'm meant to be doing. So here's the thing, and I diverted myself, I'm sorry. So we went through this retrograde, we went through this year, and now, yes, Jupiter, and I think Venus, right? We've moved into the realm of Sagittarius. So the fire part of our nature. And Sagittarius is all about, having fun, etc., but it's about healing and teaching and helping move things forward in a really deep spiritual way through its own fire power. So I love that we've gone from this really deep retrograde into an active principle as we take the energy and the burning that it's created inside of us with all this reordering in order to burn away the past, because we're still in a retrograde. There's something really significant, according to my spirit guides, about that. So understand the energy, play with YouTube, learn as much as you can about it, and the fact that it is time for a fire ceremony. So, if you're feeling that you want to burn away the past in a loving, gentle, pervasive way, make yourself a fire ceremony. I know a lot of people live in cities and apartments. You can do it. Just be careful not to set off the smoke alarm. But there are lots of ways to do that with candles, Spirit saying, over the course of a couple of days, you can buy yourself a giant candle, one of those pillar candles, and just, okay, Spirit's talking about doing prayers and incantations and using the candle to send things forward and be released. So Venus, yes, Marie Antoinette, Venus is still in Libra, but the energy is, when we move into Sagittarius, there's another huge shift that's going on. And it's because we are coming into that season, so to speak. Even though I believe we're still in Scorpio for a couple of more days, right? And then I believe then we move into Sag, and then that transitions in the end of December into Capricorn, which is having its karmic return in a sense, because the shift and change in the Capricorn energy, with Pluto being there in the first house, there's a lot of change coming forward. And you guys know more about astrology than I do. I get downloads from my spirit guides about the actual energy pathway and why it's happening the way it is. So let's see. Just curious, what signs are your natal nodes? I have no idea because I don't follow astrology. I've been so deep across my whole life in the psychic thing, I haven't paid attention to it. So it's a good question. I should find out, right? How do I find out? I suppose I Google that. So India, it's that 18-year cycle, I believe. You're correct. There's significance there because it was 18 years ago that I started building this house. It was when I stepped into that part of my fruition. I couldn't deny myself in a sense, and I didn't tell anybody what exactly I was doing, but the shaman people kept showing up here, helping me, and dowsing the land with me, and the crows would come, and that's why I have a crow mask. So I went through this incredible ceremony. I had a couple of initiations. I kept going deeper and deeper, and getting in touch with the energy here in this property. And I knew that I was literally terrified. I used to come up here and stay. I did a couple of vision quests before, while it was just woods. And it was frightening to me because the energy was so intense. And it was in the year 2000 that I knew I had to start building. I had to leave my husband. I had to break up my family. Like, you get these notions, and on the surface, it looks crazy, and people do those things, and everybody stands around and goes, tisk, tisk, tisk. That person's off their rocker. That's how probably it looked. Because when it was time to sever that relationship, it was meant to sever. And I did. I went to the courthouse on my birthday and filed for a legal separation and came home and handed it to my husband and said, we're done. I'm done. I'm out. It was really intense. And so I've been carrying a wound from that, and I felt intensely unloved. And it hurt me in a way that was really profound. And I had to sort of stand up. I mean, part of that journey was I had to stand up and say, well, you know what? I'm not willing to be in a relationship that feels like this. And we had a child together, and that's a girl. And I'm not willing to raise a young woman up in this energetic environment. So I'm out. And I didn't want to do it, which it hurt. I hurt myself. I hurt my ex-husband really deeply because I really believed he didn't love me. And you know what? Okay, so now I'm going to tell that story. You guys want to hear it? So I just figured out that all of my suppositions, that's why Spirit was talking about Harry Potter, all the things I thought were true, I was wrong. And it was during Venus in retrograde that I had this epiphany. And when Spirit's talking about it's a color purple kind of moment, and it's not because there was no violence, there was just none of that, but human emotional tragedy, and then years and years and years go by, and you come to a place of peace. That's what Spirit's talking about. So, talking about karmic returns, right? Okay, so India, 18. Yeah, tell me, oh, they just sold the pearl owned by India. I'm reading your messages. Yeah, I don't know. Anyone who knows about that stuff, tell me, because I don't know. I'm going to have to do some research. And in fact, the person who was just here knows a lot about astrology, and it'll be interesting to see what evolves between us, because spirits told me we're going to work together somehow. Maybe not all the time, but there are some things that are unfolding because I'm stepping out. I've been terrified to show people, this stuff, this part of me, and I have more of these. Okay, I have. I've had a lot of journeys. I've had a lot of stuff go on over the years while I've been hiding inside of myself and hiding in the woods and just wanting to be alone because there was so much going on that I had to grow into it, I think. So, let's see. Okay, India, I'm reading your message. Cycles that sometimes remove us from the opening act in our lives. Yeah, so I guess for me, I had been traveling through my life with this energy and with these, I call them psychic capacities, and I always say to people, I don't know, because I don't know, it's a mystery. I don't know why I astral travel. I don't know why the shaman keeps showing up. I don't know. And I don't profess to know. I think the truth is none of us know. We just live in the mystery every day and we do our best with it. So I was drawn to this place for this purpose. And I now finally am comfortable saying, yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you. I'm here to provide a place for people who need to have a certain type of experience and healing and energy vibration. And I think there are lots of people around the world now that are coming forward, visibly, Spirit saying, because there are a lot of people who are meant to come and have their awakening, their karmic return, their energetic healing. Yeah, it feels brave to me. Darlene, thank you for acknowledging. I think part of it maybe is the little bit of the Virgo stuff. It's like, I don't need to exalt myself. I have an aversion to that. Because Virgo people, most of them are they're just working behind the scenes, are pretty quiet. So anyways, I'm going to launch for a minute. With permission, just indulge me because I think it's important to tell this story as part of my story. So I love Libra people, and it was when when Venus came back into Libra that I began to have a whole bunch of different kinds of epiphanies. But when I was looking at my own life and thinking about balance, and because it's my karmic return, the 18-year cycle, all that stuff. So in the beginning of 2018, my ex-husband, I became aware that he was having a serious challenge. And it just sort of percolate in me, and I think I became aware on the eclipse, actually, of 2017. He came to my house with my daughter and with a friend who I hadn't seen in over 10 years to sort of watch the eclipse together and be together on that energetic day. And because I'm me, I knew. I was like, oh, what does this mean? Uh-oh, something's going on. What's going to happen now, right? So what was happening was the past was being eclipsed out. And the three souls, actually it's interesting, it's four. So the four souls that were together that day, obviously really karmically linked in various ways. So the past and the wounding of the past was beginning to be, Spirit saying karmically erased. So we had the eclipse day. It was really, part of what happens here is this place is a portal, I believe. And so when you step into the field of the energy, it still looks like you're here, but you're in a different spot. There's something that shifts. You step across into a different dimension, I guess. So I hadn't seen my ex in a long, long time. And the health problems that this person had been evolving for a couple of years. And I was really shocked and frightened, concerned, all those things about what I was seeing. And, again, for privacy, I got to be a little careful about what I say. So I started asking my daughter, honey, what's going on with dad? Because, wow, something's really wrong. And she gave me a little bit of information. And then it was percolating inside of me. And, like most love stories, when we were in love, it was deep. And I don't think I do shallow. I don't think I don't have that capacity. So there was a lot of intense communication that happened between the two of us um, while our love bond was forming to pull us together in order to create this baby and bring forward Moonrise Cottage. That's our karmic story. That's what it was all about. Nothing else, right? So Spirit's telling me, Spirit's laughing at me in the background, like, if only we knew what we're going to know in the beginning of a story, it would just help us so much. So Spirit's talking about perspective and now that we've been through this Venus retrograde, help yourself ponder that when you're in relationship with somebody. So anyways, long story short, I said, gee, this person, because we're still connected to the same piece of land, I said, why don't you come to my house every morning and I'll make you breakfast? Because I personally needed to know that somebody was taking care of this person and that there was food going in and nutrition and calories and all that kind of stuff. So that started, and then